Think about walking down a busy street in a major American city. You see the hustle, the bustle, the signs of a thriving economy. But then, your eye catches something else. A small cluster of tents huddled in a doorway, someone wrapped in a sleeping bag on a park bench, a family trying to get comfortable in their parked car. These aren't just isolated incidents. This is the stark reality of homelessness in America today. To really understand what's happening, let's hear directly from someone who's lived it.
The owner wanted possession of the property.
That's not a statistic, that's a voice. And it's a voice that's being echoed by over 771,000 people across the United States, an 18% jump in just 1 year. Imagine that. For every 10,000 Americans, 23 are facing the daily struggle of having nowhere safe and stable to sleep. It's not just about a lack of shelter, it's about a lack of security, dignity, and opportunity. So how did we get here? How can a nation as wealthy and powerful as the US have so many of its people living on the streets? We're going to take a hard look at 10 cities grappling with the highest rates of homelessness, not just to count numbers, but to understand the human stories and the complex systems that have led to this crisis. The iconic skyline of New York City, a jagged testament to human ambition and economic might, casts an increasingly long and ominous shadow over the lives of the over 114,000 people trapped in the silent, often invisible, nightmare of homelessness. This isn't merely a matter of lacking shelter, it's a daily struggle against the relentless pressures of one of the most expensive and unforgiving urban environments on the planet. The promise of opportunity, so central to New York's identity, rings hollow for those battling to secure the most basic of human needs: a safe and stable place to sleep.
60 years old, I worked 35 years, I'm a college graduate, I have no record, I have never been arrested or accused of anything, and I sleep on the sidewalk.
The sheer scale of New York City's homelessness crisis is staggering and multifaceted. In February 2025, over 114,000 people slept in NYC shelters. 70% of those in shelters were members of homeless families, including over 39,000 children. The reasons are as complex as the city itself. The exorbitant cost of housing is a primary driver, with the average rent for even a modest one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan consistently hovering well above $4,000 per month, a figure utterly unattainable for a significant portion of the city's workforce. This is further exacerbated by stagnant wages in many sectors, leaving a growing number of individuals and families precariously balanced on the edge of housing insecurity. Decades of urban development policies that have prioritized luxury construction and offered substantial tax incentives to high-end developers, often at the expense of creating and preserving affordable housing stock, have severely constricted the supply of reasonably priced units. The decline of manufacturing and the ascendance of the finance and technology sectors have reshaped the city's economic landscape, creating a concentration of wealth at the top, while leaving many in low-wage service jobs struggling to keep pace with the ever-increasing cost of living. The city's aging and often dilapidated public housing infrastructure, once a crucial lifeline for low-income residents, has suffered from chronic underfunding and neglect, resulting in disrepair and a shrinking number of available units. While New York City operates the largest municipal shelter system in the United States, offering temporary housing to tens of thousands each night, it is a system often stretched well beyond its capacity. Overcrowding, limited resources, and a lack of tailored support frequently make shelters a short-term solution rather than a clear path to long-term stability. For many, the process of finding permanent, affordable housing is anything but straightforward. It involves navigating extensive, bureaucratic requirements, enduring long waits for subsidized housing programs, and competing within a private rental market where affordable options are scarce. The absence of easily accessible wraparound services, including emotional wellness support, community-based care, and job training adapted to today's workforce, makes it even harder for individuals to regain their footing. Without these foundational resources, the journey out of homelessness becomes increasingly difficult. And while data and reports tell one part of the story, the visible reality tells another.
Individuals sleeping in public spaces, resting in subway stations, or finding brief shelter in building alcoves. Each scene a stark reminder of the system's limitations and the pressing need for solutions that are not only effective, but also grounded in dignity and humanity.
The sun-drenched boulevards and iconic imagery of Hollywood often mask a far grimmer reality in the sprawling metropolis of Los Angeles. A vast and deeply entrenched homelessness crisis affecting tens of thousands of individuals. The allure of the California dream and the promise of opportunity stand in stark contrast to the harsh daily existence faced by those without a stable place to call home. A population that stretches from the beaches of Santa Monica to the industrial corridors of the Inland Empire.
I've become comfortable with it. I don't see no other way out. Like I said, I feel like I'm falling and never hitting a bottom, or at least hitting a bottom that's false.
The sheer geographic expanse of Los Angeles County presents unique challenges in addressing homelessness. Unlike more compact cities, the unhoused population is scattered across vast distances, making outreach and the delivery of essential services a logistical nightmare. The severe shortage of affordable housing is a primary driver of this crisis, with median home prices soaring beyond the reach of average Angelenos and rental costs reaching exorbitant levels. This affordability crisis disproportionately impacts low-wage workers, those with unstable employment, and individuals with disabilities, pushing them towards the brink of homelessness and often over the edge. Adding to the complexity of this crisis is the clear connection between housing insecurity and ongoing behavioral health challenges. According to estimates from the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health, a significant portion of individuals experiencing homelessness in the region are living with overlapping emotional and behavioral health conditions, concerns that often go unaddressed due to limited access to consistent long-term care. These challenges can create a difficult cycle. Without stability, wellness becomes harder to manage. Without wellness, stability remains out of reach. The system meant to offer support, from community clinics to outreach efforts, is often fragmented and under-resourced, struggling to keep pace with growing demand. As a result, many individuals find themselves navigating this crisis without the foundational care they need to rebuild their lives. The growing presence of encampments across Los Angeles reflects more than just a lack of housing. It reveals the deep gaps in a city known for opportunity, yet one where far too many are left without a pathway forward. In the shadows of immense economic success, thousands are still waiting for something as basic as a safe place to rest. You know Chicago, right? Tough city, strong people. But there's another side, a really harsh reality for a lot of folks here: homelessness. And when those winds whip off Lake Michigan and the brutal winters hit, it's not just uncomfortable, it can be deadly for those with nowhere to go. Imagine trying to survive the night when it feels like the cold just bites right through you. People are just trying to find a doorway, a vent, anything to get a little bit of warmth, hoping they make it till morning.
It's a nice place to be, but for a homeless person like me, it's rough on a certain occasion. You gotta make money to eat, and then you gotta make money to go look for work, things of that nature.
The thing is, how did we get here in Chicago? A lot of it goes way back, tied to how the economy changed and some really unfair stuff that happened with race over the years. When those manufacturing jobs started disappearing, it hit communities of color the hardest, leaving people without work and making them more likely to lose their homes. And then you had things like redlining, making it hard for people in certain neighborhoods to get access to good housing. It's created these deep problems that are still around today. Think about this. In January 2024, they estimated almost 19,000 people were homeless on a single night in Chicago. That's like triple the number from just the year before, and a lot of that's because of folks seeking asylum. But even if you take them out of the picture, it's still a huge problem, and it hits the Black community especially hard. Around 72% of the non-newly arrived homeless population are Black or African American, even though they're less than a third of the city's total population. And it's not like there are places for people to go. For every 100 really low-income families, there are only about 28 affordable rental homes available. So, a crazy 88% of low-income families are spending way too much of their money just trying to keep a roof over their heads. And when you look at poverty overall, it's almost 3 times higher for Black residents than for white residents here. Chicago does have shelters and community organizations doing their best to help, but when the harsh winter months arrive, those resources are often stretched thin. Many shelters reach full capacity quickly, offering only short-term relief rather than long-term solutions. For someone earning a low or modest income, finding a stable, affordable place to live remains an uphill battle. When you factor in additional challenges, such as emotional wellness concerns or ongoing recovery needs, the path to stability can become even more complex. People navigating these circumstances often face extra barriers, especially when supportive services are limited or difficult to access. Across the city, it's not uncommon to see individuals seeking warmth under bridges or resting in public spaces. These moments offer a powerful reminder: behind every hardship is a person, and behind every person is a story. And that story deserves to be seen, heard, and met with real solutions. Think about Las Vegas. It's this whole world of flashing lights, casinos humming, and the feeling that maybe, just maybe, you could hit it big. But peel back that shiny surface, and you'll find a different story unfolding for a significant number of its residents. The hidden struggle of homelessness. In 2023, the homeless population in the Las Vegas Valley jumped by 14% compared to the previous year, reaching over 6,500 individuals on a single night. And just a stone's throw from the dazzling Strip, where fortunes are supposedly made every minute, are people fighting tooth and nail for something most of us take for granted: a safe place to sleep. In fact, in 2022, over half, 51%, of the people experiencing homelessness in Las Vegas were unsheltered, meaning they were living on the streets.
People don't know, mere steps away is one of the tunnels underneath the city where some of the homeless live. A lot of people move here thinking they're going to become rich, and they end up losing it all and stuck on the streets.
The very engine that powers Las Vegas, its reliance on the ever-shifting tides of tourism and hospitality, creates a shaky foundation for many who call it home. A large chunk of the workforce is in those lower-paying jobs, often without solid benefits or job security. And as the cost of simply living there keeps climbing, especially the price of rent in this growing city, more and more working folks find themselves teetering on the edge of homelessness. Alarmingly, Nevada has a deficit of over 98,000 affordable homes, with the shortage being most severe in the Las Vegas metro area. You know, the city's been called out for sometimes prioritizing appearances for the tourists over the basic needs of its most vulnerable. They've even put in place rules that can make life even harder for the homeless, pushing them out of sight instead of offering a real hand up.
Consider this. For all the growth and development happening across Nevada, there's still a major gap where it matters most: access to affordable housing and essential support services. Right now, for every 100 extremely low-income renter households in the state, only 17 affordable and available rental homes exist. That's not just a statistic. It's a reflection of how tough it can be for everyday people to stay afloat. In a place where the economy depends heavily on tourism, with jobs that can be seasonal, unpredictable, or suddenly lost, a single setback can quickly spiral into housing instability. And the contrast is hard to miss. Luxurious resorts and entertainment just blocks away from people trying to make it through the day without a roof over their head. It's a powerful reminder of the deep divides that can exist in cities built on promise, and how much work remains to ensure that opportunity is truly within reach for everyone.
The postcard-perfect images of San Diego, with its idyllic coastline, sun-drenched beaches, and seemingly endless promise of a relaxed Californian lifestyle belie a growing and deeply troubling crisis of homelessness that casts a dark shadow over this otherwise picturesque city. The very factors that make San Diego such a desirable place to live, its temperate climate and stunning natural beauty, also contribute to a high cost of living that pushes an increasing number of its residents towards the margins.
It's like being homeless and
it's hard. The cops mess with you. I mean, they move you from one spot to the next.
The really high cost of renting and the crazy competitive housing market in San Diego create a huge barrier for regular working folks, making it super tough to find and keep a stable home. That attractive lifestyle and the booming tourism industry just keep driving up demand and prices, meaning people who've lived there for years are struggling to afford it. And there just isn't enough affordable housing being built, plus not enough of those subsidized options to help people out. In January 2024, San Diego County's Regional Task Force on Homelessness counted over 10,000 individuals experiencing homelessness. What's even more concerning is that over half of those, around 5,500 people, were considered unsheltered, living on the streets. Now, San Diego's location near the US-Mexico border adds another layer to this. Federal immigration policies and the needs of asylum seekers can sometimes put a strain on local resources, making things even harder for vulnerable populations. While the city does have some services and temporary shelters, the sheer scale of the problem often overwhelms them. That leaves a lot of people fending for themselves in parks, along the canyons. You see the contrast everywhere between the sunny image of San Diego and the tough reality for those without a home. It really makes you think about the need for better, more caring solutions. Think about San Jose, right in the heart of Silicon Valley. It's this global center of tech innovation where incredible wealth is created. But there's a really unsettling contrast. Right next to these shiny tech campuses and huge estates, you've got a serious and ongoing homelessness problem. The cost of living here is just sky high, mainly because of the booming tech industry and not enough new housing being built. It's created this huge gap between the rich and everyone else, leaving thousands without a stable place to live in this wealthy area. Now, the median income in Silicon Valley might be one of the highest in the country, but the cost of housing, especially in San Jose, is just not sustainable for a lot of people. The average rent for even a small one-bedroom apartment can easily go over $3,000 a month. That puts San Jose right up there as one of the most expensive rental markets in the US. This crazy cost is because of a few things: huge demand for housing from all the tech growth, strict zoning laws that limit how much new housing can be built, and a really speculative housing market. All those high-earning tech workers coming in have created a situation where people with lower and even middle incomes, even in stable jobs, are getting priced out. They're having to make impossible choices between housing and other basic needs. And you see it. More and more people and families living in their cars, RVs, and makeshift camps around the city. It really shows how prioritizing tech and wealth has come at the expense of basic human needs for a lot of people here. In 2023, the point-in-time count in Santa Clara County, which includes San Jose, found 6,340 individuals experiencing homelessness, with a significant 77% of those being unsheltered. This highlights the severity of the crisis in the heart of Silicon Valley. Dallas, it's this huge city that just keeps spreading out with all those suburbs and highways. And that sprawl creates a really unique challenge when you're talking about homelessness. You see some people without homes downtown, but there's this whole other group, a lot of them, scattered way out in the suburbs, far from the usual shelters and services that are mostly in the city center. It can make you feel really alone out there.
Rain, sleet, or snow. You have to deal with the heat. You have to deal with the fact that you might run out of food, water. You have to depend on the people that come by and donate water and food. You have to deal with people that are, like they're doing now, arguing over.
Now, The way Dallas has approached homelessness has gotten some criticism. It seems like sometimes the focus is more on keeping things looking okay in the busy areas rather than really digging into what's causing the problem. They are trying to add more shelter beds in the city, but building permanent supportive housing. That's the kind that gives people a stable place to live, along with services like mental health care and job training. That's been lagging behind what's really needed. The sheer size of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex makes things even more complicated, because you've got all these different cities and towns with their own ways of doing things and their own resources. It's hard to get everyone on the same page. You see the result in those hidden camps in the suburbs, along the highways. People relying on already stretched charities to get by. That sprawling nature of Dallas, while it's part of its growth, also makes it a really isolating place for those who have nowhere else to go. In January 2023, the Dallas-Fort Worth area counted over 11,000 people experiencing homelessness. What's particularly striking is that a significant portion of the suburban homeless population faces these unique challenges of isolation and lack of access to centralized services. Philadelphia, a city that carries the weight of American history, the birthplace of liberty. But beneath that historical significance lies a persistent and deeply troubling issue: a significant number of people experiencing homelessness. Often, this struggle is tangled up with the economic fallout from the decline of its manufacturing past and the devastating grip of the opioid epidemic. It's like the city's heart is still beating strong, but a part of it is really hurting, and you see that in the faces of those on the streets. The decline of Philadelphia's once vibrant manufacturing base has left lasting marks on many working-class neighborhoods. As steady jobs disappeared, economic instability took hold, making it harder for residents to maintain secure housing. These long-standing shifts, combined with ongoing public health challenges, have created a complex web of housing insecurity that continues to strain the city's resources. In January 2024, Philadelphia's point-in-time count reported over 5,100 individuals experiencing homelessness. For many, the path to stability is deeply connected to the need for accessible health and wellness services, especially those that support emotional resilience and recovery. The challenges are particularly visible in areas where people gather near transit hubs or historic sites, not by choice, but out of necessity. This crisis does not affect all communities equally. In 2023, nearly 68% of people experiencing homelessness in Philadelphia identified as African American, a disproportionate figure that reflects the city's broader history of systemic barriers and economic inequality. Philadelphia is a city known for its resilience and heart. But these numbers and stories remind us that the road forward must include more than just temporary fixes. It requires long-term investments in housing, wellness, and community-based support systems that meet people where they are and help them build a way forward. Phoenix, a city that's growing fast in the Arizona desert, faces a particularly dangerous challenge for its homeless population: the extreme heat. We're talking temperatures well over 110 degrees Fahrenheit for long stretches, turning just being outside into a daily fight for survival. And making it even worse is the rapidly rising cost of housing, driven by the booming population and a shortage of affordable options. The rapid growth of Phoenix has put huge pressure on the housing market, causing both rents and home prices to jump significantly, often faster than wages for people in service and working-class jobs. There hasn't been enough investment in affordable housing or enough cooling centers for those without homes, creating a really dire situation where the environment itself becomes a major threat. In 2024, the point-in-time count in the Phoenix metro area found over 9,400 individuals experiencing homelessness. Tragically, the extreme heat has a devastating impact. In 2023, nearly half of the record 645 heat-related deaths in Maricopa County were among people experiencing homelessness. That's a 500 times higher risk of dying from heat exposure compared to the housed population. And with climate change making heat waves more frequent and intense, the need for urgent solutions is becoming critical. Phoenix is facing a shortage of over 59,000 affordable housing units for low-income residents, highlighting the deep roots of this crisis. San Antonio, a city brimming with culture, its famous Riverwalk bustling, and historic missions standing proud. But just beyond those well-trodden paths, there's a significant number of people experiencing homelessness, often unseen by the tourists drawn to the city's charm. It's a reality that exists just out of frame of the picture postcards. The reasons behind homelessness in San Antonio are complex. There's a real shortage of affordable housing, especially for individuals and families with low incomes. And there's a need for more accessible and comprehensive mental health and social services. While the city has put some programs in place to try and address homelessness, the scale of the problem often requires a much bigger, more coordinated effort to really make a difference. In January 2025, the point-in-time count in Bexar County, which includes San Antonio, recorded 3,372 individuals experiencing homelessness, the highest number in the last decade. What's interesting is that while the overall rate of homelessness hasn't changed much in the last 10 years compared to other major Texas cities, the number is still significant. San Antonio has a shortage of affordable and available rental units for extremely low-income renters, with only 26 units available for every 100 households in that income bracket. This lack of affordable options contributes significantly to the crisis. The contrast between the city's festive atmosphere and the silent struggles of its unhoused population highlights the urgent need for greater awareness and more effective solutions to ensure everyone has a safe and stable place to call home. Okay, I understand. You want me to integrate this concluding statement, along with the disclaimer, into the end of our current documentary script. I will weave it in smoothly after the Community Resilience in Action section and before our existing concluding remarks. Here's how we can incorporate it. 10 cities across America, each grappling with its own unique set of challenges, yet from them emerges a singular, stark reality. A widening chasm at the very heart of the nation. As the promise of opportunity dims for hundreds of thousands, a fundamental question hangs in the air. What happens when the most basic human needs are systematically unmet? This rising tide of despair, of feeling left behind by the very systems meant to support them, isn't just simmering beneath the surface. It's erupting in tangible ways, in the proliferation of tent cities, in the stretched capacity of overcrowded shelters, in the desperate daily search for survival. While the spectre of widespread societal collapse or upheaval might seem a distant, even unimaginable scenario to some, the sheer scale and persistence of this crisis reflect a palpable sentiment. Deep dissatisfaction, a growing sense of instability, and a fundamental erosion of trust in the institutions designed to protect the most vulnerable among us. Could communities, pushed to their breaking point and feeling increasingly abandoned by those in power, eventually demand radical change? Or is this current surge of desperation a temporary wave, destined to recede with shifting political tides? These are the crucial questions that America must confront in an open and honest dialogue about its most pressing social crisis. As we conclude this exploration into the complex realities of homelessness in Michigan, it's crucial to remember that this is not an isolated issue. The challenges we've witnessed here echo the growing strains felt across the nation, raising fundamental questions about our societal structures and our collective responsibility towards our most vulnerable members. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and stay updated with our latest videos. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. The information in this video is compiled from reliable sources and public reports, aimed at analysis and providing a reference perspective. The video is not intended to incite panic, personal criticism, or provide financial or legal advice. Viewers should consider and verify additional information related to their personal circumstances before making any decisions.